Thank you all for coming out this morning. I came to Oregon 20 years ago. I came here for a job and I planned to stay for a couple of years. Instead, I fell in love with Oregon and I fell in love with Portland, I think for many of the same reasons that all of you love Portland. I love Portland because of our 200-foot blocks that keep the city walkable and keep the sky in view even when there's no sunshine. I love that a lot of us leave our cars at home and take transit by choice rather than by necessity. I love that we killed a freeway project and built a light rail system instead. I love that we ripped out another freeway to reconnect our downtown to the waterfront. I love that when other cities saw their centers hollowed out by suburban flight, Portlanders invested in places like Northwest and Irvington and birthed a neighborhood movement that flowed through the whole city and into City Hall. And now we're seeing a second round of revitalization in places like Alberta and Mississippi and interstate. I love that we realize that the transportation system that originally spawned so many of our great neighborhoods, the streetcar, could build new neighborhoods and add even more vitality to our city. I love our farmers markets and the fact that our kids grow some of the food they eat at lunch. I love that we drive more hybrid vehicles per capita than any other city by far. And I love that our bikeways sometimes have congestion and that once a year we close our bridges so that we can swarm over them on bikes and on foot. I love that we built a living room for our city at Pioneer Courthouse Square, brick by brick, with contributions from citizens. I even love our unique form of government that emphasizes consensus and compromise rather than top-down decision-making. And I love that the fountain we're standing in front of bears the quote, "Good citizens are the riches of the city." That's the spirit that's propelled my neighborhood activism and civic activism. Not every citizen spends as much time at it as I do, but that's the spirit that makes Portland so special. All of these things that we love about Portland are the result of citizens and leaders making distinctive choices. Sometimes this is about individual decisions that have collective impact, like driving hybrids, but most often it's the result of citizen activism. People who banded together, had a better idea, and had the vision and persistence to make our leaders see the light. I've been practicing that kind of activism for more than a decade, whether it's very visible and controversial, like insisting on a parking plan that doesn't require tearing down houses to build garages, or even dry, like tweaking the lobbyist registration system at City Hall. Whether it's transformative, like creating a new campaign finance system to get the big money out of our politics, or wonky but critical, like redefining the criteria by which we expand or don't expand the urban growth boundary. But I'm not satisfied. I want to do more. The Portland Tribune labeled me Citizen Smith a few months ago, and with apologies to that fine newspaper, I'm announcing today that I'm running for City Council under the banner of Citizen Smith. Woo! Yeah! I'm campaigning to bring the skills that I've developed as a citizen activist to City Hall. The ability to talk and work with folks from diverse groups and interests, the ability to look at all sides of an issue and understand the nuances, integrating the best ideas from each perspective, the ability to build coalitions and patiently create consensus, or when necessary to take a decisive position and stand by it. Even the ability to run a blog and keep the conversation civil. Coupled with the management and problem-solving skills I've developed in a 25-year career in high tech, I believe these skills will allow me to effectively help lead Portland through the challenges and opportunities that face us. But most of all, I bring the recognition that the best of what we are as a city comes not from our leaders, but from our citizens. Over the next 14 months, our campaign is going to talk about Portland's future. A lot of that conversation will focus on sustainability. Not just the environmental sustainability that is such a critical issue to our whole world, but also social sustainability, keeping the fabric of our society in Portland whole and healthy. And very importantly, we're going to talk about how we sustain the citizen involvement that makes Portland the place we love. Our conversation is going to engage the whole city, because it's not enough that we have great neighborhoods in some parts of the city. We need to have investment in Cully and Gateway and Lentz, all of our neighborhoods, because Portland doesn't stop at 82nd Avenue. But the first job of our campaign is to reach out to the citizens of Portland and seek their support to get into this race. I've been a firm and vocal supporter of voter-owned elections, and I'm looking forward to campaigning under the system. When voter-owned elections was adopted, we pledged that it would be referred to the voters in 2010 after they had seen it in operation. I want to reaffirm that pledge today. I'm committed to letting voters have their say, which makes it very important that in this election cycle, voters have the opportunity to see voter-owned elections working as it was intended. In this first cycle, voter-owned elections had a dramatic effect on reducing spending, but a less apparent effect on election dynamics. I think that's going to be very different this cycle with an open seat. I'm delighted that the other declared candidate in the race has also embraced the system, and many prospective candidates have signaled their intent to use voter-owned elections. I'm looking forward to a race where we can talk to voters, not to contributors, in a campaign that will be about ideas, not sound bites. Our campaign will work to be an example of how voter-owned elections should be used, honestly, transparently, and as an invitation to participation by voters. So again, thank you all for coming out this morning, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Well, it's still early days, Jim, and we'll be working on that, but you can safely say that I'm a strong supporter of the idea of looking at expanding the streetcar system citywide. Also a strong supporter of increasing the bicycle network with additional bicycle boulevards. Sure. So the question is, what are my major differences with Charles Lewis? And I, honestly have not heard him articulate his policies enough to start drawing those distinctions yet. I'm looking forward to engaging with him in debates and community conversations. Okay. Thanks, everybody.